If you're a high school student or a college student and you are struggling with being suicidal right now, if you right now are struggling with suicidal ideation, suicidal intention, anything suicidal, suicidal thoughts, just wishing to be dead, watch this video, I beg of you. This video is going to be a full video of all the things I wish someone had told me when I was in high school, when I was in college, battling through exactly what you're going through right now. This video is not going to be me preaching to you or saying you need to do this, you should be doing that. This video, I will be speaking mostly from my own experience here, being suicidal, growing up with bipolar disorder, with depression, with anxiety. I battled since age 8 up until now, essentially. Of course, I'm in a much better place right now, which is why I'm sharing this all with you, because I want you to be in a better place too. The first thing I will say is that your life is worth more than whatever struggle you are going through. I guess we could start chronologically. When I was in high school, I used to be so overwhelmed with coursework and just getting A's and B's in all of my classes. Stress from school, I know, is a huge contributor to being suicidal and ideating all these types of thoughts that are not normal and extremely dangerous. They're not only dangerous to your physical life, but they're just dangerous to your well-being as well. And I get it, you're suicidal. You are not well at all. You are going through the worst of it right now. Honestly, suicide is just as fatal as cancer. It kills people. Mental health struggles and mental illness is just as important and just as impactful as any kind of physical illness. If something has the power to end your life, it should be taken more than seriously. But anyways, back on the topic of heavy coursework and just struggling in school. Maybe you're struggling to maintain a good grade in your classes. Maybe you're just struggling to maintain your friendships at school. Whatever it is, your life is worth more than that. Maybe you're thinking right now, if I were dead, none of this would matter. And you're right, none of it would matter if you're dead. But when I was overwhelmed with these same thoughts and realizations back in the day, I wish someone had told me my life mattered more than the things I was worried about. And I think the hardest part about stressing out and struggling with your coursework or your friendships at school is that you put more value onto the success of these things or these things working out than you put on your own life. Listen to what I'm about to say. Nothing that you're stressing about is worth more than you living through it. Maintaining the rhythm of your beating heart is worth more than you acing or passing a class. The reason why these things matter more to you than your own life is because you're placing unnecessary worth on these things. You're placing more worth on these things of life than life itself. And that is never how life is supposed to be lived. Another thing in my own experience with being suicidal, I often felt like I was a burden to those who I loved. I felt like they would be better off if I wasn't here anymore. I felt that my own struggles with depression and anxiety and often expressing those things to my family, especially my family, was so upsetting and detrimental for them that I did not deserve to be alive. I can't imagine what it would have been like to grow up with the amount of social media, and even in the midst of a pandemic, I can't imagine what it would have been like to grow up in this era where we're all expected to be perfect all the time and feel these things that I felt when I was suicidal. Because I feel like for you students today who are struggling with being suicidal and trying to live a perfect life for your friends, for your peers, just for the world in general, and you're struggling with feeling inadequate in your own family system, in your own personal life, that is a recipe for disaster. And I'm grateful to say I lived through my school years. I'm grateful to say I lived and survived through them. Honestly, there was social media back then. We had Snapchat. Oh my gosh, I think I was in high school when Snapchat was invented. I feel so old. You have it a lot harder than how I had it because of the standards this world is placing on you. I didn't have TikTok though. Instagram wasn't super huge yet. It was the pre-influencer era. And as someone who once was a fashion influencer, I know what the struggle feels like to maintain perfection. I know what it feels like to always put on a front online. And when you can't be yourself online, let alone in the real world, let alone in front of your family or your friends or any other loved ones you have in your life, when you can't even be yourself because you always feel like you have to be something to someone or be something to everyone, that's a recipe for suicide. That's a recipe for disaster. That increases your level of shame, which I created another video on. Shame is like a gateway into suicide, and suicide kills. If there is anything in your life that makes you feel like wanting to end it all, whether it's your own mental illness or whether it's your tests at school, your classes at school, maybe you're just trying to pass your junior year. Like, guys, I understand that that's hard. None of your struggles will ever matter unless you survive through them. That and the family you might worry about being a burden to, or who you're worrying about breaking even further, they're not going to become any happier once their loved one has killed themselves. Who's the person you care about most in this world? And now imagine if they chose to end their life. Maybe they never even told you that they were struggling. That's what it's going to be like for your loved ones if you killed yourself. And I pray and hope that you never, ever kill yourself. I can't stress it enough. Your life is worth more than whatever you are struggling through. As someone who has almost killed herself a few times in her life, and as someone who survived being suicidal for a very, very long period of time, I can promise you that things will get better and that this will actually make you resilient. It will make every kind of bad emotion in your life seem like a breeze. Yes, I still struggle with anger and anxiety and upset and depression quite often. I mean, again, I have a mental illness, but I feel like after going through all these dark periods in my life that nothing really phases me anymore because I know I can get through it all. You will not only become someone that you feel safe being inside, you will not only start feeling safe in your own head as you persevere through it, but you will become even more strong of a rock for those you love, for the people you are worried about burdening right now. One day you will be their greatest source of strength. You are a radiant light. You should be here. You deserve to be here. And no matter what you are going through right now, years from now, days from now, right now, whatever you're going through is insignificant to how much worth your life has and how much worth you have as a human being. For those of you who are Christian, I wanted to bring up the biblical example of Job. Job was someone who suffered greatly, who was even tested by Satan himself. He suffered from physical ailments, from the loss of his entire family and all of his wealth and possessions, his home, everything. He laid in suffering for such a long time, and he kept praying to God. And at the end of the book of Job, do you know what happened? God eventually restored to Job not only all he had lost, he gave him a whole new family, a whole new home, a whole new body full of life and health, but he gave him multiple times the original amount he had. The beauty of surviving through being suicidal means, again, you will become so much more strong and you will learn to live out life in a way that's more joyous and grateful than anyone else. One of the things I learned from living in a state of death was that my life is more full and joyous now than it has ever been. And I look back to these moments and I'm able to better compare and contrast life. I am more grateful now than I think I would have been had I not been suicidal. So just know that surviving through suicide actually makes your life better as long as you live through it. When you survive through all the pain you're going through, you're almost assured the capacity and ability to feel more joy and gratefulness and happiness than anyone else in your life. If you've made it to the end of this video, which I pray you did, I want you to know how much I want you to stay here. I made this video for you. I made this video so you would not kill yourself because I care about you. I don't want a single one of you who's watching this video to ever kill yourself. You promise me, look at me in the eye right now and promise me that you will never kill yourself. Promise yourself. Promise God, promise whoever, walk into the next room, call up your loved ones and say, I promise to never kill myself, and hold yourself accountable toward keeping that promise. I pray you live, I pray you thrive, and I can't wait for you to be able to get past enough of this to experience joy like you've never felt before. God bless you, and may you have overwhelming peace tonight and always.